All right, I think we're live. Yes, we're live. All right, so I'm gonna stall for time while I wait for a few people to pop in and join and say hello. I'm gonna share this to my Facebook page real fast. How's everybody doing over there in Facebook land? Welcome, welcome. I'm David Bradley. I'm the co-founder, or not co-founder, the founder, co-founder. Who's the co? Well, I mean, if you're religious, then God helped in this. So sure, I'm the co-founder of Rich Man's Gym. Rich Man's Gym is about strength and conditioning for body, mind, and spirit. I don't believe you got to go to a cookie cutter gym to get in the best shape of your life. I think that's something you can get done from the house. You can do it in the garage, in the backyard. You can do it at the park. You know, as I always say, anywhere you can take a Russian kettlebell and a set of Olympic rings that you can hang from a tree, that is your Rich Man's Gym. So I'm all about strength and conditioning for body, mind, and spirit, and I want to do that from the outside in. I'll explain what I mean by that in a little bit, but really what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to talk about, I ran a half marathon last Saturday, and I'm going to tell you some of the things that I did that worked. I'm going to go over some of the things that did not, where it got really hard for me, some supplements that I take that really helped in that, how I trained for it. I'm going to cover all that with you today. So if you're thinking about doing a half marathon or a 5K or a 10K, you've never really gotten into the whole running thing, which I didn't think I would. This will be for you. So let me just share this. I'm live. What do you want to know about running a half marathon? Post. All right, cool. So what I'm going to do with you all today, thank you for that. All right, cool. So what I'm going to do with you guys today is I'm going to debrief. I'm going to go over, I've got about 7, 8 different notes here that I'm going to cover with you. If you have questions, feel free to drop them in comments so I can respond accordingly. And I think what I have accomplished so far in terms of my running, pretty awesome. And I think everything I'm going to share with you, if you're thinking about running a 5K, or thinking about doing a 10K, or you're getting ready for a half marathon, I think all of that, what I'm going to share with you, will apply. I'm starting to get from my own research and my own training that the next level, which is a full marathon, might be just a different animal altogether. So, you hear a lot of people talk about when they're running a marathon hitting the wall. I've never hit the wall. I don't know what that is. I don't know if I will when I do run a marathon. But what I do know is that there's an intensity level that kicks in when you, after this 13, 0.2, 3, 4 miles, right? You start getting into this place. And I'll talk a little bit about the keto click today, which definitely kicked in for me. So let's just dive into it. Okay. So the first piece of it, how did I train for this marathon, with this half? Years ago, I read a book by a guy named Pavel Tsatsouline called Power to the People. And it was a book on powerlifting, mostly deadlifting and overhead presses or a bench press, whichever you want to do. But the principle that Pavel teaches in that is progressive overload. And what that means is that, for example, if you're powerlifting, right, you're going to go in, you're going to lift a certain volume or a certain weight on that day. The next time you train, you're going to add a little bit more. The next day you train, you'll add even a little bit more. And you keep adding a little bit more in a stair-step type of fashion until you can't do it anymore. Okay. Then you're going to pull a bunch of weight off the bar, but not go back to where you started from, but you'll pull 30, 40 pounds off and then start back up. By the time you get there, you will have developed enough strength where you'll surpass where you peaked. And you keep doing this, right? Up, back down, back up, back down, back up. And it's like this stair-step approach, sort of like a stock chart. It should keep going up, but it's going to have these little hills and valleys along the way, right? So what I did with running was I took that concept. And so on some days, I would run a mile, just 1 mile that day. And I would run that mile as fast as I could. I'd get loose, stretch out a little bit, like dynamic stretching, not static stretching, I save my static stretching for after. So I do dynamic stretching to get warmed up, some jumping jacks, and then I go outside and I run this mile as fast as I can. And the course I put has hills. Now the run I did, this half marathon, there were no hills. It was just a straight shot. Down the beach, back up the beach. That was it. So there weren't any hills. So the fact that I ran hills and I sprinted a mile as fast as I could that had hills challenged all kinds of stuff. It challenged my heart, challenged my breathing, challenged my muscles. So if I could take this half or this mile as fast as I possibly could, it set me up to function better at these long distances. Then I would also do short little 3-mile runs, short little, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 5-mile runs during the week that were medium range intensity. So I'd like sprint, I'd do short, easy workout, medium, medium, back to short, medium, short, 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 medium, short. And then every 2 weeks on usually a Saturday or Sunday, I'd do a long haul, 8, 9, 10, right? The longest I did though before I ran this half was 11. But I'd do these 8ers, 9ers, 10ers, and then I back off again. And I structured it so that when I got July 15th was the day of the half. So I structured my intensity level to peak on the 15th. Now that's not, you don't have to do rocket science. It's really about using the force, if you will. It's about feeling what your body feels like today. Some days you're going to think you don't feel like training, but do it anyway. But what I mean by that is, just sort of feel your way through it. There's no real pressure here. So like do an easy day, then do a medium day, do another medium day, then do 2 easy days, and then do, a medium and an easy and then another 2 mediums, and then do a hard one, But like every 2 weeks, you should do a hard, long and hard, every 2 weeks. So the two things that was so progressive and stagger your intensity levels, and then also make sure that you're working on short, efficient 1-mile training. That was, I can't tell you how helpful that was. That was recommended to me by my chiropractor. If you're in San Luis Obispo and you're watching this, if you need a chiropractor, go see Dr. Rex Stevens. He's the man. So that was the first thing. That worked really, really well. I was able to stagger my training and then peak. Technically, because I'm talking about running a marathon, and I'll get into that. In October, I am. And there'll be a whole separate Facebook Live for what's going to happen on October 8th. But just know on October 8th, I'm going to run a marathon. And as far as I'm concerned, I consider this half that I ran on last Saturday part of the training for the marathon, the big one that I'm going to do. So I'm going to continue to progress. So the next long haul I do is probably going to be about 15 miles. So I did 13.3 the last week. So the next time I go long, I'll shoot for 15. Okay, so other training in addition to running. So if you're a runner and you're thinking about doing, maybe you've never done a 5K before, so that's going to be your first one, or a 10K. Make sure that you're not just running. Okay. Calisthenics. I'm saying jumping jacks, push-ups, pull-ups, dips, deep knee bends, knee highs, mountain climbers, squats, box jumps, all of that stuff. Weightlift, lift weights, deadlifts, kettlebell swings, kettlebell presses, right? Work out, strength train. Strength training is a big piece of what I do. I lift weights and do calisthenics almost every day. And I think having that and having a really solid anaerobic capacity has done nothing but benefit my aerobic capacity, which has been minimal, to say the least. Because if you saw the last one, you know this about me. If this is your first time tuning in, early teens, I had really bad asthma. It was chronic. It came on from growing up in a Southern California in the 80s, smog central, right? You'd go out and play soccer in a first stage smog alert. It did not do much good for my lungs. And then, because I'm smart, I decided to start smoking cigarettes when I was 16. Okay, did that for 15 years, packing a half a day. 2002, I stopped smoking cigarettes. Everything changed at that point. Put a lot of attention on eating better, better care of my body, working out. 2007, made some even bigger changes in terms of what goes into my system, cut out all alcohol. That was huge. I lost like 40 pounds. Like, if you want to lose weight quick, stop drinking. That's beside the point. The point that I was making with that is I had diminished lung capacity, and my aerobic capacity has not been good. Never was, really. I was kind of slow as a kid anyway. So the strength training has been huge for that. The other thing to keep in mind is that even though you're running with other people, it is not a race. It's called a race, okay? And if you're a competitive runner, then yes, you are in a race. For the rest of you, the most important thing to do is to finish. The next time you run, finish stronger than last time. That's it. You are in competition with one person and one person only, and that is you. If you get competitive when that gun goes off and you start bolting, you're going to gas out. Okay? Know your pace. So that's the lesson on that, right? It's to know your pace. Let me get back to the strength training deal and the lung capacity. The other thing that I do, if you haven't looked this guy up, totally dig. Check him out. Love this guy. He's amazing. Wim Hof. It's WIMHOF. Okay. He's got a breathing routine that I practice several times a week. I do Wim Hof breathing. I also do deep breathing exercises. This is something I picked up as part of my process to stop smoking, and that was huge. I mean, if you smoke now and you watch this, if you just Google my name and how to stop smoking without killing anyone, I wrote a whole book about it. I got a couple of videos on YouTube about breathing techniques that you can do to help get through a nicotine fit. But those breathing techniques actually help increase your lung capacity, and I've been following those and Wim Hof's breathing technique for a while now, and it's been really helpful at a couple things. Number one, getting my brain right, reducing my stress level, and then also increasing my blood oxygen level. You want to have as much oxygen in your blood as you possibly can, especially when you're running 13 miles. Very important. So breathe. Breathe a lot. Practice breathing. I mentioned Wim Hof breathing. The other breathing that's been very effective for me, especially in terms of staying calm, keeping my heart rate down when I'm running, to work on that aerobic capacity, it's called box breathing. I first learned about that from a dude named Mark Devine. And what Mark did, he was a Navy SEAL. And box breathing is where you breathe in for a certain period of time, typically 4 seconds. You hold your breath for 4 seconds. You exhale for 4 seconds. You don't breathe in or anything for another 4. Then you inhale and you just do that, make a box, right? I take a little bit longer to inhale, so I'm more like, my box breathing is more like 6 seconds, and then I hold my breath for 6. I exhale for 6. I don't do anything for 6, and then I repeat that. But bottom line on that one, breathe. Practice breathing. It seems silly, but we tend to, the more nervous we get, or the more anxious we get, or the more stress level we get, we breathe shallow. Will not help you when you're running. You want to be able to take in as much oxygen as you can, and you want to actually exercise the muscles that bring the air in. So in order to do that, you actually have to breathe. So nutrition. What you put in your body, that's your fuel. So if you're looking to run a 5K, you're going to need some energy for that deal. If you're looking to run a 10K, you're going to need even more energy. If you're doing a half marathon, you need a lot of energy. Now, I've got the Under Armour app on my phone, tracks my caloric expenditure. According to that app, I burn 1,900 calories running that half marathon. I don't know if that's accurate or not. I've done some research. I've seen where a marathon is 2,000 calories. So, I don't know. Here's what I do know, is that I didn't have any sugar. It was a sugar-free run. So what that means is I am pretty much, I spend most of my time in a state known as ketosis, where my body is metabolizing fat and using fat to produce ketones, which is an alternative fuel source. It's natural, your body makes it. And when your body runs out of sugar and decides not to use protein for fuel, it creates this thing. It creates ketones. There's 3 different versions of it, and it helps your body. It's basically a stand-in for sugar. So I'm what is known as fat adapted or keto adapted, and I've been on a ketogenic diet for how long? I started in March of last year, and it's been huge. It's been huge for me. So I also supplement with ketones, meaning they're exogenous. So this is what I take. I take Prove It, therapeutic ketones. This is what I took before my run, just 1 packet of this. And what this does is it gives me the biggest benefit, especially when I'm doing cardio or long haul endurance type of activities, is what I call the keto click. And you may have seen my video on YouTube about this, but at some point when I'm out of sugar, like my body's used all the glycogen it's stored up, I'm out of sugar, right? And I'm starting to drag ass. This thing happens, and it's literally like somebody flipped the switch. And all of a sudden I'm like, bing, okay, I could do this all day, right? So remember that from Captain America, he's, you know, when he's getting beat up in the alley and he's like, I could do this all day. And what's basically happening is that I'm out of sugar, I'm using fat now, and I consider myself pretty lean, but here's the analogy. Let's just say you're a 200-pound guy with 10% body fat. Okay, that means you've got 20 pounds of fat on your body. There's 3,000 calories in 1 pound of fat. So 20 times 3,000 is 60,000. So even if you're a 200-pound man at 10% body fat, you're carrying 60,000 units of energy on you. So you don't need sugar, first of all. That's the first lesson. Okay, so, and you certainly don't need, I mean, you've got all the energy you need. That's my point. Okay. And if I did 1,900 calories just running, then 13 miles, you got all the juice you need, right? That makes sense, right? So if you want some more information about Keto OS, feel free to reach out to me. You can message me here on Rich Man's Gym on Facebook. You can visit richmansgym.com/prove it, PRUVIT, and you can get more information about that product. It's awesome. I've been taking it for since March of last year. Take it every single day. It's been fantastic, not just for my physical performance, body composition, as well as mental acuity. I don't get brain fog like I used to. And 2 o'clock, I used to be like, what's going on? Who am I? I mean, I'd be just glazed over. And it would take a lot of coffee to get me back in. So right now, if I miss my afternoon coffee, it's not a big deal. I got much more energy, not just physically, but mentally, right? The fourth thing that was really helpful, I almost forgot. Okay. The other supplement I take, especially when I'm running, is this, Shroom Tech. It's by Onnit. So you can go to richmansgym.com/Onnit for more on that. But this has been really helpful, I think, with ATP production, blood O2 levels, in addition to the breathing. This gives me not like speedy kind of energy. It adds to this whole Captain America click thing where I could just do this all day. So those are the two. What's in here, the main ingredient in this are cordyceps mushrooms. And there's whole as well as extract. There's a little bit of green leaf in here. There's some ashwagandha and astragalus, which are adaptogens. The whole thing's an adaptogen complex, which just helps your body function better. Okay. But if you want a little bit more on that, hit up richmansgym.com/Onnit and look up Shroom Tech Sport. Okay. Fourth thing that was music. I got a playlist on Spotify, Run, David, Run. Play on the Forrest Gump deal, right? The playlist on Spotify, music, it's inspiring. It gives you added energy. If you create the right playlist, you time it right. So you're like, man, I'm tired. I don't know if I can go anymore. And then the right song comes on, and then let's go. Right? Music's been very, very helpful for me. Totally suggest it. A lot of people don't jive on it, right? I know like David Goggins, for example, he does ultra marathons, and that for a lot of folks, music is a distraction. Meaning, this is your time to get in your zone, and this is your silence, and this is your thing, right? I'm a music guy. Sorry, what are you gonna do? And then the fifth thing is mindset. Now, I just mentioned a dude named David Goggins, and one of the things was helpful for me is David Goggins is the SEAL in the book Living with the SEAL. Now, one of the things that he says, he runs ultra marathons, and somebody asked him, they said, "Hey, what do you think about when you're running?" And he said, "Finishing." So when you start getting up into these high, longer hauls, right? 13.3 miles is what I ran the other day. It's nothing, right? There's guys that are doing 20, 30, 50, 100-mile runs. So I'm like running around the tip of an iceberg right now. That's all I did. But it was a big thing for me. So, but what's most important for me, what has been very helpful on any run I go on, I will set how far I'm going to go. And then it's a finish or die deal. So if I say I'm running 6 miles today, I run 6 miles or I die. There's no other options. That's it. And the same thing should go for you. So when you say, hey, I'm running 6 miles today, finish or die, you have to get that mentality. Nothing is more important than finishing what you start. It's like a huge thing for me. It's an important part of my character. Finish what you start, okay? And you have to have that mindset going into it. Any thoughts of quitting will metastasize, will grow. It'll either slow you down or it will increase the negative suffering of the run. What do I mean by the negative suffering of the run? When you run, you're going to wind up suffering. There's like no way around it. Suffering's part of the deal. Comes with it. It's included. It's free. Either you're going to get sore, you're going to get a cramp, you're going to trip. My suffering on this one, the way the course was laid out, so you start at Morro Rock. You can Google this if you want to look it up on the map so you know where it is. But you start at Morro Rock, and then you run up the beach to the Cayucas Pier, which is about 6 miles. You get to Cayucas Pier, you hang a U-turn, and then you start running back. So if you get to your starting point, it's only 12 miles. Now, to run a half marathon, you have to do 13.1. This particular half marathon was 13.3. I don't know why they thought they'd throw in an extra 0.2, but they did. But in order to pick that up, to pick up that extra mileage, on the way back, they have you turn left, go up the beach into this soft sand. So you're no longer are you running along the hard packed sand from the tide. You're running on the fluffy stuff. And you're already smoked, right? You've already run. It shows up around like mile 11, which is it's just rude. And you get in this like fluffy sand and your quads start lighting up and your hamstrings are like, dude, what just happened here? And right, you're off balance and you're already unstable anyway, right? So it's a challenge. So you muddle through the sand, then you get onto hard concrete, which again doesn't have the same level of resistance as sand. And you were just in all fluffiness, right? So now you're really thrown off. And they have you run on this asphalt. You do this lap, you come back around. And then back into the fluffy sand. It's like 0.3 of a mile of this. Let me just tell you something. It sucked. It totally sucked. It was like, it was one of those times. There was 2 times in the run where I thought the idea of quitting popped into my head, where I had to literally talk myself out of it. And you have an argument with yourself. So the point that I'm making is that you're suffering either way. But if you make the commitment at the start or going into it, when you sign up for a run like this is a finish or die situation, you suffer through it better. In fact, you will suffer through it better versus the negative thing where you just give up. Okay, so you have to make the commitment to finish or die, period. Right? What do they say? What do the Spartans say? It's either come back with your shield or on it, right? That's what you got to do. You got to burn the ships, all that. If you don't go into it with that mentality, it's going to be twice as hard, and there's the odds of you quitting are way high. So finish or die mentality. The two things I'm going to work on moving forward, and then I'm going to bounce out of here. I want to work on improving my stride. I do a lot of static stretching, but I think I'm going to spend some time on a track working on my running stride, working on getting my knees higher, widening my stride, just so I've got more flexibility, foot strikes. Like I'm going to really start dialing into running form and making sure that my running form is perfect. The other thing I'm going to start looking at is better recovery. I think I had my recovery stuff down pretty well, but I want to incorporate cold therapy. Two reasons. Number one, I hate the cold. I hate it. I need to overcome it. I need to push through that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make that a public thing. So now everybody knows Dave doesn't like the cold, so Dave needs to work through that. So that's the first piece. But there's a lot. If you look up cold shock or cold shock proteins, Rhonda Patrick has talked a lot about this stuff and the benefits of cold water immersion for, and again, back to Wim Hof, he talks a lot about this too, for all kinds of stuff, immune system, anti-inflammatories, recovery, it's all good, right? So I just want to get more into it. So those are the two things. I want to improve my running form, and I want to also start incorporating cold water therapy. So those are the two things. If you're thinking about doing a run and I can help in any way, whether that's in terms of how to structure a running program based on sort of what I did to get ready for this, if you need more information about Keto OS, on it, reach out. You want to kick me in the butt to help me get into cold water immersion, you can do that too. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what I can do to help. Have an awesome weekend. My name is David Bradley. We'll talk to you soon.